Now the author rahimahullah is going to go on to talk about the things in which are the things in which give a person a valid excuse to miss the or not attend the Jummah prayer. So he says, وَأَمَّا الْأَعْذَارُ الْمُبِيحُ لِلتَّخَلُّفِ, as for the valid excuses that make it permissible for a person not to attend the Jummah, فَمِن ذَلِكَ, and from these things is al-matar al-shadid. Al-matar al-shadid means heavy rain. And what it means by heavy rain is the type of rain that causes the people to take cover. For example, to cover their heads. So they consider that a reason to not to attend Jummah. In our times, the rule would still apply, but the problem is, for example, we have cars, we have means of transportation, but if the rain is that heavy, then technically speaking, it would be a valid reason for a person not to attend the Jummah prayer. Likewise, snow. So they define that heavy rain is الذي يحمل أواسط الناس على تغطية رؤوسهم. It is that rain that that causes people in general to cover their heads, to take cover, open up their umbrellas or run under a building to take cover from the water. Then والوحل الكثير. Al-wahal al-kathir means mud, lots of mud. So for example, in the desert, when there's lots of rain, then lots of sand and lots of rain, then or lots of dirt, then you'd have lots of mud, and going outside would be a very big problem. So in that case, they considered it valid for a person not to go to Jummah, and they usually define it as that type of mud or that type of circumstance that causes schools to close down or marketplaces to close down. So the same rule could apply, for example, snow. For example, places in North America, they get so much snow that school is canceled. Things are shut down. In this case, then it would be permissible for a person not to attend Jummah, because the issue of snow takes the ruling of the mud. So if there's lots of mud or there's lots of rain, then technically speaking, a person has an excuse not to attend the Jummah. وَالْمُجَذَّمُ الَّذِي تُضُرُّ رَائِحَتُهُ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ. Al-mujadhamu is leprosy. الَّذِي تُضُرُّ رَائِحَتُهُ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ. And leprosy, when it is very strong, then it gives off a bad scent, and that's why it says الَّذِي تُضُرُّ رَائِحَتُهُ بِالْجَمَاعَةِ. That harms or that disturbs the people who attend the congregation. Then in this case, he is permitted to stay in his home. And I don't know if the issue of leprosy is a reality today, but this is what the scholars are mentioning here. وَالْمَرَضُ وَالتَّمْرِيدُ. Also, one of the other things is a sickness. If a person is sick, and what do they mean by sick? A type of sickness that makes it difficult for a person to attend Jummah. So for example, a person's in bed with a heavy flu or a heavy fever, and in this case going to Jummah will be very difficult. Then in that case, a person is exempted from having to attend Jummah, but not the common cold or anything common like that. That would not be a valid excuse for a person not to attend the Jummah prayer. Or the common headache, things like this that are common are not reasons not to attend the Jummah. What-tamridu means taking care of somebody who's sick, and that's why it says بِأَنْ يَكُونَ عِنْدَهُ أَحَدٌ. An example, like if there's having somebody with him min ahlihi, from his family, muridan, that is sick, like his wife, كَالزَّوْجَةِ وَالْوَلَدِ وَأَحْدِ الْأَبَوَيْنِ, like his wife, his brother, his son, or his brothers or his sisters. وَلَيْسَ عِنْدَهُ مَنْ يُعُولُهُ, and there's nobody else there to help him out. فَيَحْتَاجُ إِلَى التَّخَلُّفِ, and so he's in need of taking the dispensation of not attending Jummah لِتَمْرِيدِهِ, in order to take care of that person. So if you have a sick person in your family, for example, you have a sick son and your wife is not around to take care of him, then in this case, it is permissible for you to make takhalluf under the condition that there's nobody else there to take care of them. وَمِن ذَلِكَ إِذَا احْتُدِرَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْ أَقَارِبِهِ أَوْ إِخْوَانِهِ. Also the same case is when a person is close to death, when a person is on their deathbed and it's feared that they might die during these last moments. So that's why it says إِذَا احْتُدِرَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْ أَقَارِبِهِ, from his family, or إِخْوَانِهِ, from his friends, his close companions. قال Malik said, فِي الرَّجُلِ يَحْلِكُ. Imam Malik said, in terms of a person who's on his deathbed, يوم الجمعة, on the day of Jum'ati, فَيَتَخَلَّفُ عِنْدَهُ رَجُلٌ مِّنْ إِخْوَانِهِ, then a person from his friends or his companions should remain behind. يَنْظُرُ فِي شَأْنِهِ لَا بَأْسَ بِذَلِكَ, he should remain behind to check up on his condition. فَلَا بَأْسَ بِذَلِكَ, yani there's no problem with that, meaning that there's no sin on him for not attending the Jummah and remaining behind. Then he mentions from the other things in which it is permissible for a person not to attend Jum'ah, he says, وَمِنْهَا لَوْ خَافَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ مِنْ دَرْبِ ظَالِمٍ أَوْ حَبْسِهِ, if a person was scared that he might get struck by a zalim, for example, somebody's out, a wrongdoer, somebody's corrupt is out to hurt him, or is after him, or is looking for him to harm him, then that's a valid reason for him to stay in his home. أو حبسه, or remaining behind, or feared that he might be tied up and thrown in prison, for example, or locked up. وأخذ ماله, or fear that his money might be stolen, for example, which is a reality in South Africa. A person, for example, might be afraid that, for example, let's say Yom Jummah, you get a shipment in, and you have about 25 to 30 boxes outside of your store, and you're waiting for somebody to bring them inside the store. Jummah time comes. If you were to leave to go pray, then those boxes will be left out there under no supervision. Then in this case, it would be permissible for you to stay behind and not attend Jummah, and that's what he means by وَأَخْذِ مَالِهِ, or fear that somebody might take his money or take his wealth. وَكَذَلِكَ الْمُعْسِرُ يَخَافُ أَنْ يَحْبِسَهُ غَرِيمُهُ عَلَى الْأَصَحِّ. Also, according to the sound opinion, which there's khilaf in it, a person who doesn't have money, like a person who owes somebody a debt but doesn't have the money, he's mu'asir, meaning he's bankrupt, but he fears that if he goes to Jummah, that the person who owns money to will have him imprisoned until he pays the money. In this case, it is permissible for him to lay low in his house and not go to the Jummah. But as mentioned in other books, that's under the condition that he doesn't have the money. But if he does have the money, then he's not exempted because he's supposed to pay his debt. That's why we say al-mu'asir. Al-mu'asir is a person who is left hanging dry. He has nothing left to pay his debts. Then he says, وَمِن ذَلِكَ الْأَعْمَى الَّذِي لَا قَائِدَ لَهُ. Also in terms of, it is also permissible, a person is also exempted from Jummah if he's blind and he doesn't have anybody to bring him to the Jummah. That's what he means by الَّذِي لَا قَائِدَ لَهُ. That's a condition, meaning that if a person did have somebody who could bring him, meaning a person that can steer him towards the masjid to Jummah, then Jummah is still obligatory, and that's why it says وَأَمَّا لَوْ كَانَ لَهُ قَائِدٌ, if there was a person to guide him, أَوْ كَانَ مِمَّا يَهْتَدِي لِلْجَامِعِ بِلَا قَائِدٍ, or he's one of those people who knows how to get there, even though he's blind, he knows how to get there safely. فَلَا يَجُوزُ لَهُ التَّخَلُّفُ عَنْهُ, then it is not permissible for him to not attend Jummah. And that is what the author here mentions, and that is the end of the section concerning those who are permitted not to attend Jummah for specific circumstances.